Hello and welcome to History's a Blast. This time we delve into a topic of lifelong interest to me but yet to appear on the channel, the American Civil War. And we're going off the beaten path of Civil War tourism, so to speak, into West Virginia. Although no famous battles were fought in the Mountaineer State, many small but strategically important fights did occur in what was then the western third of the Old Dominion. In early March 2021, we took another of our regional day trips, this time to the little town of Philippi, West Virginia, the site of the first land battle in the Civil War, and as an added bonus, it's home to a very picturesque covered bridge. The inspiration for this trip was a series of YouTube videos by the American Battlefield Trust about sites in West Virginia along a heritage tourism path called the Civil War Trail. I'll put links to their websites in the description, and we highly recommend that you check out the extraordinary battlefield preservation work being done by the Trust. Now, Philippi sits on the east bank of the Tigert Valley River, about an hour's drive south on US Highway 119 from Morgantown. There are 3 sites with interpretive Civil War trail signs, the first of which, coming from the north, is high above the west bank of the river on the campus of Alderson Broaddus University, which we're coming to here. From the small visitors parking area, it's a short walk along the paved walkway between the administration building and the chapel to get there. Although the hillsides were clear back then, they are heavily forested today, hiding the militarily important covered bridge from view. Now, because the actual fight is covered in detail in the American Battlefield Trust's YouTube video, and because we want you to have a reason to visit the site yourself, I won't go into great detail in this video, except to say that 2 cannons of the Cleveland Light Artillery took position here and opened fire on about 800 completely unprepared Confederate recruits encamped across the river, while about 3,000 just as inexperienced Union troops from Indiana, Ohio, and Western Virginia attacked from both sides of the river. It ended badly, very badly for the Confederates. From this commanding position, our next stop is Blue and Gray Park at the west side of the bridge. As usual, Debbie is already reading the interpretive signs by the time I get the camera out. There's a very interesting sidebar on that one, which I'll cover shortly. The flags flanking the national flag on these poles are replicas of the battle flags captured in the Confederate rout. At this early stage of the Civil War, the relative uniformity of Confederate regimental flags typical in different theaters of the war later had yet to appear. A recent addition to the park is the Sago Miners Memorial, erected in 2016 to remember all coal miners, and particularly those who lost their lives in the Sago mine disaster in 2006, about 20 miles southwest of here, in neighboring Upshur County. 4 of the 12 miners who died in the disaster lived here in Barber County. The project from design to final installation took 8 years. Remember the sidebar I told you about? Ever hear of a billion-dollar prosthetics company called Hanger Incorporated? Got its start right here when 18-year-old Private James Hanger of the Confederate 14th Virginia Cavalry at Philippi had his leg mangled by one of those 6-pound balls fired from back there on the hill. Captured, he survived an above-the-knee amputation, the first amputation of the Civil War, by the way, and was lucky enough to be returned to his home after an exchange of POWs. Unhappy with the wooden leg he was provided, Hanger developed a new one, and he was eventually awarded several patents and contracts by the state of Virginia to supply above-knee prosthetics for other wounded soldiers. The company he founded in the 1870s is still going strong. Who knows what you can learn just by driving around rural West Virginia looking for history, eh? This is one reason why we like to say, history's a blast. Turning to the bridge itself, this is quite a structure. Today, it's the only remaining covered bridge on a federal highway and is purported to be the most photographed historical landmark in West Virginia. The original combination Howell and double-arched wood bridge dates to 1852, and although most of the present truss work is very, very old, some might even be original, it is clearly no longer a load-bearing structure. Note the concrete piers and beams underneath, added in 1934, along with the exterior walkway. It has also been heavily damaged at least 7 times in its lifespan, including a severe flood recently in 1985 and more recently in 1989 by a fire that nearly destroyed it. But it still appears much as it would have to the soldiers who fought here in 1861. Let's drive through and enjoy the beautiful engineering work of 170 years ago. The third Civil War trail site we came to is in the American Legion Memorial Park in downtown Philippi. The former Baltimore and Ohio Railroad station now houses the town's historical museum, unfortunately closed when we visited due to the pandemic. While one regiment charged down the highway from where the guns were firing, you can see the rooftops of the Alderson Broaddus University admin and chapel buildings in the distance, and stormed the bridge, a larger force came charging along the road behind where the B&O station now stands. The Confederates, who weren't killed, wounded, or captured, skedaddled out the east end of town, leaving tents, wagons, horses, and whatever else to the triumphant Union troops. By the standards of major Civil War battles, the Battle of Philippi was a relatively bloodless affair, but it had far-reaching consequences. Shortly after this, a series of larger affairs 30 or so miles southeast of here, culminating in the Battle of Rich Mountain, which we hope to visit in the late spring or early summer this year, resulted in the irretrievable loss of this part of Virginia to the Confederacy. Early setbacks here and elsewhere west of the Appalachian Mountains are often overlooked in favor of the so-called big fights that our national battlefields commemorate. But they were nevertheless key events in making the eventual defeat of secession inevitable, even if it was not evident to the participants on either side at the time. We visited 2 other historical sites not related to the Civil War on this trip. They have to do with an important annual U.S. tradition involving flowers, greeting cards, and calling your mom. More on that in a future episode. That's it for this time. I hope you enjoyed this video and will take time to view some of our other ones. Thanks for watching. Please click the thumbs up icon to like the video and share with your friends via email or social media. I'd love to have you subscribe, and if you do, please click the little bell icon so you'll get notifications whenever I post a new video. Goodbye.